Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. Alright, let's jump right into things. There's a lot to talk about this week. So, top 10 cards that are moving percentage-wise this week. Let's kick things off with Firestorm from Weatherlight. Reserve list card, and currently priced at around $10. It's the only printing of this card. This card was on the list last week, and it's up 17% this week. And the reason why this card is moving again this week is because of the new Calamax Commander from the Commander 2020 series. So Calamax, if you're unfamiliar with him, copies the first instant you cast each turn, provided that Calamax itself is tapped. All of these sort of low-cost instants that do really nasty stuff are really starting to move, and Firestorm is no exception. Moving right along, and in the number 9 position, we have Unbound Flourishing from Modern Horizons, currently priced at around $10, and this card is up another 25% this week. So this was also on the list last week, and again, the reason for this one is because of another new commander, Zaxara, the Hydra commander. Now, Zaxara makes an XX Hydra whenever you cast a spell with X in its value. So obviously something like Unbound Flourishing that doubles the value of X's seems pretty good in a deck like that. Okay, and in the number 8 spot, we have Magus of the Moon from Iconic Masters, currently valued at $10.75, and this is up 31% this week. There's also a Future Sight printing valued at $10.25, the original printing. So Magus of the Moon, essentially Blood Moon on a stick. For 1 red and 2, we get a creature human wizards. Non-basic lands are mountains, and he's a 2/2. Definitely the reason why this is starting to head up. It's actually been on a pretty good climb as of late. I mean, it's been a while since we had Iconic Masters, so the card's just sort of generally moving in value, but it's definitely spiking this week because of all the new tricolor lands that were spoiled from Ikoria. Our number 7 winner this week is Gravity Sphere from Legends, currently priced at $43.19, and it's up 40% this week. Now, this card's had an all-time highs of $90, and we're quite a bit off that mark, but definitely a notable increase this week for sure. It is a reserve list card, so it's one that you probably have a difficult time finding if it's something you're looking to add to your collection. For 1 red and 2, we get an enchantment with all creatures lose flying. So there's a couple of things I can't figure out about this card. Firstly, why the heck is it on a reserve list? It seems like kind of a silly card to be on the reserve list, to be honest with you. And secondly, why the heck is this card moving this week? Perhaps it has something to do with the new Cathril commander that puts counters on things. So maybe people are just concerned with an exorbitant amount of creatures getting flying counters or something like that. To be honest with you, I really don't know. So if you know, why don't you let me know in the comment section below. Okay, our number 6 winner this week is Protean Hulk, specifically the Ravnica Allegiance Guild Kit version. Exactly $10, and this card's up another 45% this week. It's turning into quite the staple on the list the last month or so. It's been on like every single week. Really good with some of the new commanders, and there's a couple other printings. The cheapest one is the Masters 25 printing at just under $8 if this is a card you're looking to pick up. Alright, so our number 5 winner this week is Skullbriar the Walking Grave from the original Commander series. Now, it's also had a reprint in Commander Anthology Volume 2. Currently priced at almost $10, and this is up 73% this week. So the reason why Skullbriar is really moving this week is because of Cathril Aspect Warper. Cathril is one of the new commanders. It's basically the keyword commander, so when Cathril enters play, you're going to put a bunch of counters on creatures you control, equal to different keywords that are on creatures in your graveyard. And since Skullbriar, the Walking Grave, loves counters, and counters remain on Skullbriar anytime it changes zones other than to your hand or library, Skullbriar seems like a definite include in that commander deck. So our number 4 winner this week is Basalt Monolith. Now, this particular Commander Anthology version is up 110% this week, but all of the other versions are skyrocketing as well. So you can still get a couple of cheap ones. So Revised Edition and Commander 2013 are both still really cheap if you are able to find and get your hands on one of those. And if you can, I highly recommend that you do this. The reason why Basalt Monolith is really moving this week is because there's a couple of new cards from between Ikoria and Commander 2020 that have been spoiled that go infinite with Basalt Monolith. I'm actually going to do a video on this, so keep your eyes open for that if that's something that interests you. But essentially the cards are Keenan, a Bonder, Prodigy, and Zerda. So both of these cards just go infinite. It's a 2-card infinite combo with Basalt Monolith. It's definitely no wonder that this card is moving this much this week, and I actually think that this is probably going to move a lot more from here. So grab up one of these cheap versions, Commander 2013 or Revise, if you can still find one for that price. Okay, so our number 3 winner this week is Pemons Aura from Scourge. Now, this is an uncommon, but Scourge was a long time ago, so there's definitely getting harder to find. It was the only printing of this card. $10.10, and this is up an astounding 133% this week. Now, the reason the big move on this is because this combos with another new commander, what do you know, Zaxara from Commander 2020. So Zaxara is the Hydra commander. We've gone over him a few times. Works really well with Unbound Flourishing, was on the list a little bit lower down this week. Zaxara, on top of doing all the X shenanigans that it does, you can tap Zaxara to add 2 mana of any one color to your mana pool. Well, Pemons Aura says an untap enchanted creature for just 1 blue mana. So we tap Zaxara for 2 blue, use 1 of it to untap Pemons Aura, float 1, rinse and repeat, go infinite. And now since we have infinite blue mana, we can just infinitely tap and untap Zaxara and create any other color of mana that we want. So clearly really busted. Some of the, I mean, again, I'm doing a video on this, so keep your eyes out for that this week for sure, and I'll go into that with more detail. But it's really amazing the power level on some of these new commanders. They go infinite with just 1 other card. It's kind of crazy. All right, so like I said, topic for another video. Keep your eyes out for that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and group the number 2 winner and the number 1 winner together this week, and that's the 2 good decrees from Scourge, Decree of Annihilation and Decree of Silence. Decree of Annihilation is up 288% this week to $9.66, and Decree of Silence is up an astronomical 386% this week to $21. Now, if you watch this show regularly, you'll remember that last week I said grab these while you can. So if they're cards you needed, hopefully you had an opportunity to do that last week while these were still cheap. Both of these decrees work amazingly well with the new commander, Gabby Nest Warden. So Gabby Nest Warden allows you to cycle the first card each turn for 0. And obviously these decrees with their crazy cycling costs have amazing abilities, but they work just phenomenally well when you can cycle them for 0. All right, and before I get to cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, you know I want to thank you for being here. We really appreciate your support. And if not, now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We post at least 2 videos every week. All right, I know I mentioned this one when we were going through the sort of top 10 list, but I really wanted to drive the point home on this one, and that's Basalt Monolith. There's a couple of printings, namely the revised edition and the Commander 2013 printing that you can still get for under $4. Even the Commander 2015 version at $4.50 I think is a phenomenal buy. There's a couple of new commanders that are going to heavily utilize this card. This card's been sort of increasing steadily in value because supplies have been dwindling ever since about 2018. So it's not like the card was valueless sort of before these new spoilers, but definitely these 2 new commanders are both really solid commanders, and they are definitely going to be affecting the price in an upward direction for all the printings of Basalt Monolith. In fact, like I said earlier when we were talking about the top 10 list, we can see that's already happening with some of the printings. So grabbing these up at around the $3, $3 to $4 or $5 even mark is a really good solid investment. All right, up next I wanted to talk about these Triumph lands recently spoiled from Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths. And I just want to talk to you about them with a note of caution. That note being that I think that these are a pretty hefty price tag to be paying for a card like this at this time. Now, don't get me wrong. I think these are all fantastic. I think they were needed in Commander. It's great to have some 3-color lands that do something besides enters the battlefield tap. And of course, they're fetchable because they have the various basic land types printed on the actual card. So Lands are super good, and given some time, I think that these should carry a price tag similar to something like a Shockland. So this is actually years down the road, probably a reasonable price for this card. But I think at the onset and at the drop of the set, this is extremely high price to be paying. I don't think these will get used in standard, and there's going to be a ton of them open because they're in the rare slot. So I think this price is probably going to plummet, and picking these up in the sort of $2, $3, $4 range is probably a lot more reasonable once Ikoria has been out for a little while. All right, the next one I got for you guys today is Heliod's Intervention from Theros Beyond Death. Coming down off of all-time highs, middle of January, this card was around $4, and today we're about $2, give or take. Now, Heliod's Intervention is super good in Commander. So 2 white and X at instant speed. We destroy X target artifacts and or enchantments. And the other mode is target player gains twice X life, which is not going to come up all of that often. But in Commander, for sure, being able to destroy X target artifacts and or enchantments at instant speed is a pretty good deal. And the reason why I'm recommending this one this week is because we're back into a territory where I think that this card is a reasonable buy for investment purposes going forward. All right, and the last 2 I have for you guys this week is kind of a dual speculation plays for this week, and that's the other 2 good interventions from Theros Beyond Death, namely Thassa's Intervention and Nylea's Intervention. So let's start right here with Thassa's Intervention. Price around $1. To be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised the price is still sitting here. I mean, it's a rare in a set that's been opened a fair amount. And most decks that run it, now there's a lot of decks that run this card, right? So it's getting play in Standard, Pioneer, definitely in Commander. But most decks that run it, obviously in Commander, it's only going to be a 1 of. And the other kind of in Standard and Pioneer, it's usually a 1 or 2 in various control decks and things of that nature. Super good card, 2 blue and X at instant speed. We either look at the top X of the cards of our library, put up 2 of them into our hand, and the rest on the bottom of our library in a random order. Or we can counter target spell unless its controller pays twice X. And it's kind of funny because most of the other interventions, like Heliod's Intervention, the second mode's not really ever really utilized. And same sort of thing with Nylea's Intervention. The second mode deals twice X damage to each creature with flying. It's not one you're going to play out a whole lot. But Thassa's Intervention actually plays both modes, sort of depending on the situation, right? Another really cool thing about Thassa's Intervention is with Calamax. Calamax doubles the first instant we cast every turn, provided that Calamax is tapped. He is definitely going to be a popular commander, and being able to look at the top X cards of our library and put 2 of them in our hand twice in a turn is a pretty good deal. Moving along, we have Nylea's Intervention, also from Theros Beyond Death. Now, I know I've mentioned this one before, but it's just a really solid commander card. For 2 green and X, we get to search our library for X lands cards, reveal them, and put them into our hand. Now, the price is depressed on this because it gets 0 standard play. I mean, the only place this is ever going to be played in is Commander, but it definitely has a home there for sure. And I did want to point out that the extended art one is a fantastic pickup at under $2. All right, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this week in MTG Finance. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.